Am I clear?
Executive session.
We're about to be, yeah. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:29 PM. Proof of quorum is established by all 5 members being present. As we have in the previous few meetings, we're gonna entertain a motion now to enter into executive session. Would anyone like to make a motion to enter executive session? So moved by Mark, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, and the motion passes unanimously, and we'll just give a moment for the electron. Everybody. All right, we are rejoining the meeting and transitioning into a open session. There are no motions or resolutions to report upon from executive session, so we're gonna move next to the approval of the minutes. Would anyone like to move that the board approve the minutes of August 28th, 2025?
So moved.
So moved, all in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, and the minutes are approved. All right. Next up is the president's report. Again, since most of what I would address is also a part of the window project, I'll try to just be very brief. I want to just pick up on a couple of things that I mentioned in my letter of last week or whatever it was. Which is, I think the most important thing, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir because the people in front of me are generally the people who come to the board meetings and who are plugged in to knowing what we're doing. But I think the encouragement that I would give to all of you to when you see neighbors and friends in the hallway is, this is very much the time to be, as they say in politics, a high information voter. Because we do have schedules that may shift because of weather, or, and other factors like that. So, we do get a lot of, Melina gets a lot, and I certainly get my share, and others do, of requests that have already been, talked about, in open session or in other fora. So, of course, we're gonna answer those questions, but every time that happens, we do have, that is, of course, time away from other things that people are working on. So that's just sort of my encouragement is to kind of stay vigilantly up to date with the correct and up-to-date sources of information. I'll reiterate from my letter that there is a display board down by the elevator bank in the basement. And of course, we have the elevator notices that are updated pretty frequently because as I say, the schedule does change. And I noticed that Melina has a kind of question bin to gather things. So I gather so that we can kind of weed out repetitive questions to answer singularly rather than one at a time over and over again. So all of that to say that this is the best time to continue to be, for you all here that I recognize so well, to continue to be informed and to encourage your neighbors and friends to do the same. Melina and Ginger and I have had a couple of meetings now of project updates. So our cadence is every couple of weeks, we have a meeting that's between the general manager, the treasurer, the president, and the various representatives of the contractors. And one of those meetings was what did take place today. And although a lot of it is very detailed stuff that will come out in other aspects of this conversation, in general, it's the time where we try to place ourselves in the role of the, what they say in software development, the user story, the user experience, excuse me, the UX.
Yeah.
Namely, what is it like to experience this and what should we expect? So those are the sorts of things that we talk about in those meetings. And I don't, Ginger, is there anything you want to characterize about that high level observation, or do you want to save it for when we dive into the later?
We have Matt on the phone too.
Oh, I forgot that. Matt, Matt, the new project manager? Okay. Hey, Matt, good to meet you earlier this morning. Would you care to just introduce yourself to the community? Because you're the new project manager for this effort at Lindman.
Sure. My name is Matt Pushak. I'm with CA Lindman. We're the contractor working on your building.
I understand we've been there for many years, undertaking many projects, large and small. I've been with CA Lindman 5.5 years now. You know, coming on board, learning all the expectations of the community and the residents, and your board here have they've been gracious getting me up to speed. We had a very productive meeting today. We're ironing out some of the deliverables that you'll see around the building. Imagine those will be published in the next week or so. And yeah, we're excited. We're excited to be on the building. Excited to be here tonight. Yeah.
Well, I want to also recognize that Craig Abel, who I believe is a vice president at CA Lindeman, is on the line too. So thank you, Craig, for being on the line and also for having joined us earlier today in this very room for the project meeting.
Do you have anyone from TDL?
Anybody from TDL? Is Chris out there by any chance, or anybody else? I mean, Chris was here earlier, but okay. So thank you, Matt and Craig, for being here and for your support. That being said, we're gonna have another chance to talk about this. So owners open forum is next, and I'm going to open that now. And so open forum.
So are we keeping them until?
Guys, Craig and Matt, were you planning to stay for a while, or were you planning just to kind of say hello and courtesy introductions? Or I just want to know, so that if someone in open forum raises a question that is directly pertaining to the windows, whether or not I can, and for how long I can continue to call on you for the answer.
Sure. Here if you need us. You know, we're at your you know, if you need answers, we'll be here.
Okay, how about this? As I did last time, I'd like to ask folks, because we have visitors on the line, I would definitely appreciate it if the first owners, if you have questions that are particular to the windows, I'd appreciate it if you could raise those in the first owners forum. So that way we don't necessarily have to keep our guests for the entire rest of the business and ask questions at the end. So open forum is open. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Bill George in Unit 105, which is Tier 9. And literally and figuratively, I'm on ground zero because I have the 3-bedroom where the 2 drop stages are set. I have 2 big piles of bricks. I have lumber and I have blocks and everything. So, but 2 things. One, I have a query, and one is a nugget for the board when this project is over. My query is on the sheet from Lindman and High Rise Windows.
The room
Unit preparations.
Bullet point post installation. Please note that any penetration to the new window system frame will avoid all warranties. This includes mounting any treatment tracks for blinds, curtains, cable, electric wires, yada, yada, yada. Component to the wind will void the warranty. Number 1, how long is the warranty? Number 2, does the warranty start when all the windows are in, or does the warranty start for each individual window? When does it end? I have 20 questions just on that. So I think we need more information, because I want to remind the board that probably 70% of these units with remodel, they have horizontals, verticals, plantation shutters, and all of those are attached to the window, seal, the frame. I know, okay.
Okay, just to be clear, they're talking the actual window, the metal, not the wood around the outside. So something that would impact, because when I read that, I had questions, but it's something that would impact the integrity of the new metal that's holding the glass from a very
Just like we
simplistic
see in the
perspective.
office.
The sample you see in the office,
That would be that.
you would impact the integrity of that.
Okay.
Does that clarify some of your
Yeah,
questions,
yeah.
sir?
And Bill, if I could just also say that one thing that came up this morning as an example would be if, for example, the window is installed and the caulk is still drying and somebody goes and puts their finger in it, you know, that sort of thing, yeah, that would obviously, yeah.
For this one,
The
you
structure,
could drill a hole here where I'm talking, I'm in the drywall or in the, like, say, the 1x4 trim that's on a lot of windows. Drill a hole there all you want, hang your stuff from there, that's
Okay.
fine.
I just wondered. what
It's
that
this-
intended. Okay,
The metal, like you see in the office in the sample, and the glass.
that'll be flushed out, I mean. I
Don't drill a
think-
hole in
I
that,
wanna
because
take
that would
time.
affect the integrity of the system.
But, and the other nugget that I want to give to the board, as I said, I'm at ground zero. And there's a lot of stuff going outside my 3 windows. And we all know that the building is built over the garage. And the grassy areas that they're working on, the depth of the turf is only 6 to 7 inches. My little turf right now, it's completely shot. Period. When this project is over, all of the surface areas that they touch with these drops and used bricks and stuff, they're all gonna have to be returfed, they're gonna have to be re-landscaped. I can look at mine right now, it's not coming back. And the board is going to have to, look at all the landscaping. And this is going to be beyond your regular landscaping contract. That, you know, for Clippers or whoever we have. So I just wanted to put that nugget in, that with the wetland and the shallow depth and everything that's going on. And I think this is go on, all the way around the building when they get to grassy areas. But I know my area now, you can look down, Barbara, it's just shot right now.
Okay.
And it's out of level. The water, I noticed the rain today, it's ponding because, there's too much stuff going on anyway. Yeah. And the final thing, Tom, and this is just my observation of looking at the YouTube. And this is not a criticism. You're trying to answer a lot of these questions and things through the board meeting. This is not really a subject for the board meeting. Board meetings are about, I think maybe a lot of these questions and stuff like that can be answered through a separate town hall. It's just something for you all to consider. Because I'm taking up too much time. We're taking up too much time in fleshing out this, and you're not doing the business of the board. Just a nugget.
Okay.
That's just the things that I want to bring up.
Ma-
And also, they're looking at my windows. The other day, the foreman and a bunch of them were there at my window. They wanted me to open, they had to do some more measurements and all. So since I'm on the first floor right outside, I wave at them every morning when I'm at my computer. I'm perfectly willing, I'm always there if they want to look come on in or look at my windows or anything. My unit. And the foreman told me when they were measuring again the window, because I was standing there on the other side and they were measuring. And they used my window as the guinea pig for the masonry. And the foreman told me I may be the guinea pig for the windows instead of top down. They may want to stand on the ground and do something, so to be determined.
Okay.
We've already had 2 guinea pigs, or 3 guinea pigs at this point, so you'd be the 4th guinea.
Matt or Craig?
Well, no, I may be the first because
No, because we've
my
already
ear
done,
goes first.
we've already done, the test unit, and we had the 2 fire units. You would be the
Oh, I
3rd.
forgot about those. Yeah, you're right.
Craig or Chris, do you have an answer on the warranty? Does that begin when the entire project is complete, or is it begin when a window has been?
So this was asked last summer, this
Okay.
past summer, and when the project starts, the clock starts.
Okay, understood. All right, anybody else was particularly encouraged for window related questions? Alex?
I have just 2 questions. It sounds like number one, we've already done some installations. Are we seeing that it is feasible to do single units in the course of a day? And then the second part of it is, are there lessons learned from the installations that have, happened to date that need to be communicated out to the community and let us know how, we can better prepare for this project?
Yeah, we have had no window installations at this point. The windows have not yet been delivered. We have had preliminary work. My understanding is almost all of the asbestos abatement has taken place on the 9th and 10th tiers, and that it is underway for 11 and 12. But as yet, we've not gotten, no unit has entered the active masonry stage at this point. Yes.
That isn't quite
Right,
right.
that's
We've
not-
had all our window sills drilled off.
Yeah.
And I just wanna say, I think the guys have been doing a terrific job. The crews,
The
fantastic.
brickwork part.
They work hard, they're very friendly, you know, like if your computer and wave, they'll raise and smile back. It's nice, they're really nice crews.
I will amend it to say that we haven't had windows be removed and reinstalled yet. We have other work that has been related to that.
If I can, just a little tidbit that came out of our extensive 2-hour meeting today. It was actually extremely productive and Matt and his team were very helpful. To the document that you were waiving, the unit preparation document, there's a lot of imperatives like all and everything in here that we're relooking again with what Tom said, which was with the guise of what's the user's experience. So when I applied all these very literally in my head to my unit, I'm like, how am I gonna do all of that? So we asked some questions, they're going back, we're gonna have a revised version of this document. A great example was something that was brought up in the previous board meeting. I've got the same situation. Many of us have some patio chairs or furniture and it's like all things off the patio. Well, I'm like, I don't have anywhere to put everything off the patio if I have everything moved so many feet away from the window, et cetera. And I was like, in the last discussion, it was like, get it to the far corner. And I was like, I could get it to the far corner, but I can't get it off the patio. So those kinds of conversations, we're gonna have a modified version, hopefully within a week, that will update this information with the consideration that we've given, and we're gonna collaborate with the Linman group to take some of our user experience comments. And if we've missed something, you know, highlight it and let us know. We're trying to think of all these kinds of different things. Those are just some examples of things that we brought up and they said, yeah, that makes sense. We need to adjust that. And we could, do with that. One thing that was really important for me that we haven't had a chance to share with you guys that I learned in our last meeting with them is how they're gonna get into your balcony. In my head, I don't know why, I had it that they were coming on the long piece of your balcony and they were gonna like step over, but they're actually coming in from the side. So make sure you look at those pictures downstairs in the garage or downstairs in the, wherever they got the little graphic, and it's the one that's color coded that has all the tiers. Look at this and find those where the lift is, and wherever that marries up with your balcony, that's how they're gonna get onto your balcony. So when we ask you to like shift your furniture, shift it away from that entry point. But make sure that if somebody were standing in front of your window or standing in front of your door, they would be able to access it and do work on it. So it kind of helps you to, at least I hope, mentally see, yeah, I'm gonna push my furniture to that corner, or I'm gonna push my furniture to that corner. Something I wanted to just share with you, and also some ideas, some information on the schedule. I want to clarify, there's been questions about this, so before you guys ask, we are asking these questions. The holidays, Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving Day, day after Thanksgiving, no unit work. Same thing for Christmas and New Year's. So this will be updated with those tweaks and adjustments. Sometimes you put stuff into a tool, it flushes it all out, and you go, oh crap, I didn't get the holidays. So they're gonna get that, we'll get that back, hopefully again within a week, and that'll have some of those adjustments. I'm sure we can talk about other things
Sure.
later, but those are the big
And
highlights.
it's your town hall, Con, that's not a bad idea, but I would remind everybody, we've had multiple special, meetings just for the project over the past year. So we haven't just waited for board meetings, is my point.
Is there anyone online with a question?
I do not see any.
Okay. Hank, I see you, but I also saw you first, ma'am, so I'm gonna recognize you first.
Two questions. I wanted to make sure that once the guide is changed, that it won't change any of the dates. And then.
What do you
also-
mean by dates, ma'am?
Okay, for instance, I think I'm in 312.
Oh, yeah, that'll
And-
change.
So for instance, the days that they're supposed to replace the windows are a certain date.
Mhm.
So let's say, for instance, we have all sunny days and they're moving along, that my date for the change of my window would still fall within that week that it shows. Because sometimes people make arrangements to have somebody come in and be there, or they might be out of town. I just want to make sure that that doesn't change. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, when I came downstairs the other day, through the back staircase, the safety cones were right in front of the door. Well, I moved them to the side only because if there was an emergency, let's say lighting was low, somebody trying to, knowing where the door was, they could trip over the safety cones at the door. This is on the inside.
Okay.
And so I just want to make sure the workers are aware that those safety cones, I left them on the side, so people can say, oh, yes, there's people outside working, but not right in front of the door. In an emergency, that could be a safety problem.
All right, guys, are you tracking that regarding the cones and egress?
Yeah, I made a note of it.
Okay, thank you.
Man.
But just to the date, I mean, we can't lock, these dates can't be locked in stone.
So if they're earlier,
As soon as you put in the back dates into the schedule,
So,
you know, we can change it.
so for the tier you're for the first two tiers, you should be fine. We talked about it today, we're gonna do like a 2-week look ahead. And 2-week look ahead, if you're 2 weeks out, then it'll be like, you're gonna be this week, you're whatever. Be it a survey, be it, we're gonna do abatement work, we're gonna be in your unit to pop in your windows or pop them out or come back and do your trim work. I'm talking way into the future, but you're this window, you're the Monday to Friday window. Then the 1 week out, so what we kind of came to as an agreement was there'll be a 2-week look ahead where that'll be just this block of days, Monday to Friday. But then the 1 week look ahead is gonna be unit X and Y on Monday, unit, so 12, 15, 16 and 12, 16 on Monday, 12, 14 and 12 on Tuesday. So we did discuss it's rough. The plan is the intent, and Alex, to answer your question, 1 day per unit to pop the windows in and out. So, and really the plan is 2 units per day. So 16 and 15, 14 and 12, 11 and 10 is the plan. To get a tier done in roughly 8 days. So we'll tell you a week out that we think we're gonna get to unit whatever, 15 on Tuesday. Then we're committing to Tuesday. So that you have that a week out, you have you're this window, knowing we're gonna start top come to bottom 2 weeks out. We don't know when rain comes, it's gonna shift things to what we call in schedule world, shift it to the right, it's gonna go to the future. We're not going to all of a sudden just say, oh, we're gonna go into your unit 2 weeks early. But we might as well say the Saturday thing while we're here. If there's a sunny Saturday where the guy on all 3 channels or 4, however many channels we have in town, says Saturday is gonna be beautiful and Tuesday and Wednesday are ugly, we reserve the right to ask the people who would be impacted, can we come on Saturday to keep on schedule, to not push the whole thing? Because if we have a good Saturday, they're saying, and if the unit owners say no, we may pick another 2 unit owners and hit another set of units. But the goal is, if we lose days on the week, we will ask owners if they would be amenable to doing work on Saturday to help keep the overall schedule overline. And that is something that we did discuss today.
All right, I want to acknowledge we're running over on this, but Hank, I was gonna so Hank will be the last in this round, and then we'll go on to the next.
My comments were actually related to the schedule, and I just want to say I appreciate that the detailed scheduling is being done, but I recognize, and I think everyone else shares, that the schedule is going to change because there are going to be factors that are going to impact me. It's hard to predict what's going to be happening in 6 months on this project. And I appreciate that you're trying to, the board is trying to communicate with us by sending out fresh schedules. I really would rather not get a schedule every 2 weeks or every few days that's with slight changes. If, I know my unit is not gonna be done until March. So I just don't need that detail of information. And I think we should save the paper and the work that's involved in distributing schedules like that. And I mean, we have the board downstairs. If anybody's really interested in seeing what the current schedule is, they can look at the board.
All right, thank you, and we'll go ahead and close open forum, first section. Of course, this bleeds right over into the board discussion on the same, mostly the same subject, which is progress of the technical component of the project, which has been discussed through your questions, but we'll certainly get systematically to it. And then also the special assessment, the financial piece. Is there anything from the board that by way of question or observation on the work itself that either hasn't been teased out in question and answer, or that you would like our guests to speak to more elaborately?
No, just to kind of piggyback on what Hank just said of, I think it'd be better just to put up like a calendar on the board and say, here's where we're at, here's where we're going next week, here's the week after that, here's the week after that. And then you keep a counter up on the right-hand side, like plus or minus, hey, we're on schedule, zero, whatever, +5, -3, whatever it is. Because a lot of people understand Microsoft Project and waterfall charts and things, but as many people know that, there's equally amount of people who don't know that. And I think that's something we can use, and I'll volunteer to help. I can read those charts, but I think putting up a calendar works better for people to say like, oh, this week they're in tier whatever, next week they're going to blah, blah, blah. And so then they can look at the waterfall if they really want, and they can tease out, hey, they're 5 days behind. They might be 5 days behind a month from now when it's my tier. So just the observation of just a simplistic calendar of like 4 weeks, this is where we're at, this is where we think we're going, this, so on and so forth. I think it makes it easier for people to ingest information.
And to your point, a waterfall chart, for those of you that don't know, is the cascading sequence of tasks and subtasks that together make up the project, and they flow downward from major tasks to smaller tasks, and that's why it's called the waterfall. Okay, other board members who have questions, concerns, comments on the technical part, the actual work? All right. I think the next thing is special assessment, which is equally as important. Yeah, guys, I think that we have probably at this point exhausted our need to have you on the line. You're of course, welcome to stay and be part of our group here, but I don't think that we're going to return to your aspect of the work in this meeting. So if you do need to leave, I will bless that, and on behalf of the board, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. So for special assessment, I think we're gonna turn mainly to Christian here, because you're kind of running that back office effort. So I think the questions on the table are that or the points on the table is we're about to go live on the ability to make the payments.
Yes.
All right.
Going to get them live tomorrow.
Okay, and these are going to be, just to make sure that my understanding is still firm, we did agree in previous meetings that this was going to be a separate line, right? This is not going to be just all lumped together, is that?
Right, it is not gonna be lumped. It is gonna be on the same ledger as your monthly assessments, but it's not gonna say condominium assessment. It's gonna say special assessment. It'll be a completely separate line item. It will not be deducted by direct debit. So you don't have to worry about that. But it will be completely separate line item.
All right. And so we'll look for that on our town square accounts and, or that's the account that we pay on, if, for those of us that pay online, that's the account in question there. And so we'll look forward to that. Just a reminder that, because I know it's, you know, to those of us who are plugged in, it's a over redundant point. But just for those of you that are the first time visiting us here in the board meeting, the due date is January 30th, 2026. And so the ability to make payments will start, we're being told tomorrow. The due date is January 30th. You are welcome to and even encouraged to make that payment as early as you feel you want it. It doesn't take a financial expert to know that the cash flow of the organization will be only benefited by accelerating that, but anything else we need to know on that, or?
There is so there was a letter that was mailed out last week that did not detail the payment methods. There was, Melina sent out an email, was it yesterday?
Day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday. That will also be as a letter that's being mailed out, this week with the spreadsheet that is available online to see your unit number and your amount of the special assessment. That will also be included in the letter going out.
So one thing, just to give a verbal, because we have the opportunity for, so if somebody pays with debit, hey, you owe $500, you pay $500. Nobody's paying $500, by the way. I'm just using simple math. But if you pay with a credit card or anything, there's a 2.5% fee. And then there's another like 3.5%.
So if you're paying online,
Correct.
Through Town Square, if you're paying with your bank account number, round number, ACH, it's just a $2.95 fee. That's it. If you're using a credit card or a debit card, it is that $2.95 plus 3.5% of the transaction total. So
that's what I wanted people to hear. So
Yes.
you have options.
Yeah, so, but those are the same terms that on which we pay our monthly, right?
It is the same time that you pay your monthly assessments. You can also use your bank's bill pay. So, if you go to your financial institution and say, hey, I would like to send a bill, I would like to pay this bill. All you need to do, if you do that, and this will be included in the letter, is that you need to put your account number, which I can provide you. Or you need to put, just either the letters SA or the word special assessment, so that we can identify that payment goes to that.
And can you,
Checks still go to me.
that was my
Yes.
next question, is that gonna be corrected so that the physical checks are mailed to the lockbox as opposed to Legman Norman, or how has that been adjudicated?
So what we've discussed internally, which just brought up to me, yesterday, physical checks for the month of October. For the month of October, if you're paying in full via check, should be mailed to me at the corporate office of, Falls Church. Any checks after that should be mailed to the lockbox. And that will be clarified in the letter.
Okay, we look forward to that clarification. Anything else regarding the special assessment or its effectuation? Okay, Melina has updated the link. Some people emailed me that, but that seems to have been corrected, so you can click on that link to see the spreadsheet that has the specific amounts. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to general business. Before I get there, I want to ask the board, has anybody thought more about whether we need to entertain a unanimous consent for an additional executive session, 12.5 on the agenda?
I haven't tripped that wire yet.
Okay.
You reserve the right.
You're reserving the right, okay, absolutely, you reserve it until the end. General business, first up is this audit and tax service proposal from Gold Clang. While I bring it up on my iPad, Melina, Melina or Christian, whoever has the better information, could you summarize, I think it's probably Melina on this question, what's going on there and what we need to decide?
This is just, for the next term of the audit, I'm trying to get to the price involved.
Yeah, so this is just to re-engage with Gold Clang to continue.
Do your following.
Yeah.
Audit would be your 25.
Yeah, my only concern there is that, we're still adjudicating the fact that, there were some. We figured it out, but the auditors had flagged that they hadn't received our our income tax filing
They did it.
when they themselves are the filers of the income tax and our
They
C.
also recommended we don't pay $40 more. They told us the price to pay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's anything that should necessarily cause us to not re-engage them, but it isn't, you know, it isn't something that would strike me as the best thing. So does anybody want to speak to this or move that we accept their engagement or anything pertaining to that? Or just commenting on it?
I have asked them to, because of the audit that was submitted with the draft audit, I have asked them, since we've verified that they completed the taxes, they have they have them to correct that on the final audit.
Okay.
So that statement doesn't reflect, negatively.
Is there any limiting factor for us to go solicit other proposals? I am big on 3 quotes.
For other auditors?
Yeah.
Yeah, no limiting.
Like, we're not wed to to the company, because I gotta be honest, reading their audit last year, not really impressed, because the audit last year was almost like a copy and paste from the year before. It was just digits were different.
Yeah.
And then we weren't provided taxes and you shouldn't pay $40. Like, we did what you told us to do.
Yeah, I can definitely, get,
I'm not looking for just a rate. I'm looking for performance.
Yeah.
right. I can get, when I can request a draft, like not a draft,
Proposal?
a proposal that includes a sample audit. So you can see the differences of what they'll actually provide you.
Okay. Yeah, if we can get a couple more quotes, we can table this for now and then reconsider. We're not.
I don't think we're in a rush.
No, we're in no rush whatsoever.
Just started the fiscal year.
This is a long-term thing. So tabled, for that, and the next up is this. I read this with a jaundiced eye, shall I say, because, the Xfinity community service arrangement here, agreement makes me think of this, what I think is an ill-fated relationship with Starry that we already have, which I don't think we should have entered into, just FYI. Nobody here was on the board, I don't believe, when we entered into that agreement. I don't view that relationship that we have with Starry as being an appropriate relationship, because it puts us in the position of being perceived to favor a vendor. And that's something that we're really not supposed to do. And so I'm really reluctant to enter into agreements of this sort, even though we would make $22,000 off of it. But in exchange for that $22,000, dear residents and friends, we'd be essentially selling exclusive marketing rights. And I don't support that. Because I don't think it's appropriate because of the no preferred vendor standard that we're supposed to adhere to. And B, I just don't want to sell our marketing information. And thirdly, I think we already really are in an exclusive marketing arrangement with Starry. So I don't know how we could sign with Comcast for exclusive marketing rights while at the same time still being under a previous arrangement with Starry. So if I'm misunderstanding Starry or anything related to it, I'd be happy to be educated on it. But this whole business of essentially, selling preferred access in exchange for marketing rights doesn't taste good to me. But if others disagree on the board, I'd be open to persuasion, but just the kind of the first blush here doesn't make me feel good.
I don't think that we have a preferred vendor status for Starry.
Some residents have challenged that because, we get, I'll be perfectly frank, we get kickbacks from Starry. We get royalties from Starry.
That's different than what they're proposing.
Right.
How so?
Can I give some?
Barbara, it's not open session.
Just hold up,
Not open session.
I've got some historical
I-
perspective.
we'll just get to that in just 1 second, okay? But okay, so I mean, if it is different, please, I'm open.
No, I agree with your position as far as a concern with this.
But you're saying the analogy with Starry doesn't.
I don't
doesn't
think they're
hold.
the same.
Okay, you're saying it's apples and oranges.
I think Starry's paying to be in the building essentially. Vice, they're wanting they want to use us as a method to make more money and utilize us as a marketing tool.
Okay.
So I share your concerns with this.
Okay.
And if like everyone knows that I'm all about making money and saving money and everything like that, but this is dangerous.
Yeah, I don't Yeah, no, point taken, and I will accept that correction about the nature of the comparison, so thank you, Mark, and
Just
And,
a second, Kyle, when you say dangerous, what do you mean?
Because I think exactly what he just said. I mean, we're entering a contract with, I mean, Verizon. I mean, we're nothing compared to Verizon. We're not even a penny to them.
Right.
So anytime they get upset or anything like that with us, I mean, whew,
This is delivery, customer grants the company non-exclusive, non-exclusive, which means we can send it, we can have other vendors, right?
correct. But at the bottom, it says exclusive
Exclusive.
marketing.
in the
And so when
the
we-
summary chart.
Can we strike the exclusive marketing? Like, do you strike the whole thing? Like, I also think that there, and maybe I mean, I didn't read every, I'll be honest, I did not read all however many pages of this. But it's about 7 or 8, but yeah. Plus you had me, there's 20 pages of the freaking auditor thing to read. I'm sorry. So this is more, isn't this more than just about marketing rights? Isn't this also about egress and things like that?
Egress
Right,
wiring.
a lot of people have Comcast to their unit, so if we don't do this, what is the impact what's the user experience impact? If we have a particular issue with a particular clause, slash the clause, do not slash the whole contract.
Okay.
You know, you can negotiate. Kick back the thing you don't like and keep the stuff you do.
That's fair.
So my understanding of that then, and Melina, you correct me if I'm wrong, this would be in some ways very similar to what happened with Verizon, which is the need to run wires and
Yeah,
things
we
like
just
that.
did that, we've done this with 2 other vendors, we've given Starry access, we've given Verizon access. How is giving Verizon access to every unit different than giving Comcast access, who already has access to every unit? And has wire running through all of our closets anyway.
Well, they also don't want anybody else using their line, and I think that,
I don't know that anybody else is trying to use that Verizon copper,
not the Verizon, I'm talking
I mean,
about.
the Comcast copper.
Well, when they put in their new line,
Well, Star is using it.
Do we want to,
Starry uses Comcast copper?
Here's the cop, whatever the lines are, they came from, they didn't change the lines when Star came in.
do we want to, do we want?
Comcast might have a problem with that. Who owns that infrastructure?
So how about this as a way forward? I mean, can board members just maybe email Melina and Christian about the things that we would like to see if it's possible to negotiate on, and then, you know, if it is, we can consider it afresh, and if not, if not. Okay. All right, moving on, management report, Melina and Christian, please.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go.
So only thing I have to add outside of what I've already mentioned in my management report is that I'm still working with CES to do the blackout in the building to install the fire pump. So they're still working with Dominion, trying to get a date. I blocked off first week of October. And today I follow up with them and they said they still haven't heard from them yet, Dominion. So we're still waiting for a date.
At what point would we say to shift the date? I think we definitely have to give everybody, the first full week of October is the week after next.
Yeah.
So if we don't hear anything by, say, Monday, Tuesday, do we say, okay, now it's the second week or third week, or we have to give people ample time?
Right, so I'm hoping that, so the guy just came back, yesterday, and he said that he's doing, following up on emails, so I'm going to email him either Friday or Monday, just to say, hey, any, leeway yet, because he said he was gonna reach out to some people at Dominion, so I'm just gonna give him a chance to do his, I know I've done this before in another building, so I may just call the field tech and ask, supervisor and ask them, you know, is there somebody I can talk to in the department, and connect those two together and see if we can get it done quicker, but.
Okay.
Can you remind us
Step on
the-
his toes, cause I mean, I do.
Can you remind us the duration that the power is gonna be out?
4 hours.
4 hours, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and it's going to be the, freight elevators don't even, you know, you have your emergency lights, freight elevator is gonna be on while they're installing the fire alarm.
All right. Christian, do you have your financial update for us?
Sorry, I was making note about the Dominion.
By all means.
Outage. So I spoke to our accountant, because there were two different ways that the delinquencies rate, and were being calculated. And he's told me going forward, we should be using the year to date, not the year to date, the yearly assessment amount, not the year to date amount. So it'll make the delinquencies look artificially small because the fiscal year just began. It'll make the delinquencies look a little artificially small. But to present both amounts of, for this meeting.
Yeah.
So if you compare the delinquencies with the year to date, then you had a 6% delinquency. If you compare it with the annual assessment, you had a 1% delinquency. Either way, amazingly.
Yeah, I mean, I get you on that, but historically not amazing for us. Our delinquency rate, if the 6% is the metric we're talking about, is historically been below sometimes 1%. And so 6 would be really bad for us. And I mean, it maybe not bad in terms of like industry standards and whatnot, but it would represent a serious degradation of our normal rate of on-time payment. However, what I'm more interested in, and others can chime in, is what is of these two methods, there has to be something that is like the industry standard
The
that,
industry standard is using the annual assessment amount.
and that's
the one.
and that gives us the 1%.
1.06.
Okay, if that is like the accepted thing in the industry, then I don't know about you guys, I don't have any reason to hear any other number other than the one industry standard thing, because otherwise we're just always juggling apples and oranges. I mean, it's not like I won't hear it if it isn't, we wanna know the one data point that is a definitive source of truth that comports with industry standards in community management. And if that's 1%, then that's the number we're purporting to the community to be our delinquency rate, which is a very different thing than 6%. So it's the difference between being good and really poor to us. So if what I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like we're saying on that standard, it's 1%.
Sure, 1.06%.
And that's reporting yearly versus annually, correct?
I'm
What's the
sorry.
difference of yearly and annually?
No.
I'm sorry, it's the same.
Rather
You
than
said
year to
yearly
date.
versus, year to date.
Yearly versus year to date.
Yeah.
Because you're dividing into a much bigger number, as the 2 point something million versus the
Okay.
The
1/12 of that has already been.
like the 379,000.
Yeah, whatever the 3 months are. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Kristen, she just wanna know what to type, that's.
One-
So I did write year to date and I just said
Okay.
something different.
Okay. Anything else?
I do not have anything else.
Anything from the board for Christian?
I still want to have the discussion about just walking me through the end of last year's numbers.
Oh, yeah, I think we should set up a meeting and go through that.
The June.
So
Not the June
not
numbers,
the June
the,
numbers, and I grant the July numbers,
the
but
24-25, the end of year numbers.
Gotcha.
Different than a 1 month report. I
Right.
want the 1 year
The 1 year.
report.
correct,
I want
so,
us to walk through that
Yep.
together and not just dump a file.
fair, yeah, same.
All right. Let's go back to owners forum, and Barbara Rosen, please, you have the floor.
Barbara Rosen, 809 and 614. You guys let me know if you want the historical background on that. I won't do it right now, but this is a renewal of 10-year contract. And that was also a renewal of a 10-year contract. And there's a long history that goes on with it. Happy to share if you're interested. But what I want to talk about specifically is Molina's letter that came out that was actually addressed to, just pass these around, and Carol, if you could take some over there too, as well, that would be great. Molina's correspondence that she sent out on September 11th that was addressed to real estate agents, but we sent out in a blast to everybody. I got a lot of questions about that because I've been doing real estate here for the last 21 years. And people were going, what is going on here, you know? The tone of the letter was borderline defamatory. And, you know, there were a lot of things about it that made me very uncomfortable. So I just want to go on record as having responded to that, to the board. And what I'm doing is I'm passing my correspondence out that I gave to the board. They've already gotten copies of it. So I sent this after Melina sent her correspondence on September 11th. And for anybody who's online who's interested, just ping me, you know, text me, email, whatever, I'm happy to send it to you. Hi, Tom, Kyle, and Christian. And by the way, I never got any formal acknowledgement of receipt at all from the board. Thank you for the follow-up, Tom. Yes, I reviewed the email Melina sent to the entire community and also met with her this afternoon in person. I'm disappointed with both activities. Melina's last email suggests that a real estate agent was moving other agents' cards, which is quite an accusation. The comments in the email about no agent having an exclusive right to sell at Hallmark also seem to suggest that the issue is a real estate agent who sells condos at Hallmark, which again, likely makes many people at Hallmark think of me. To be clear, I have suffered the loss of many business cards over the last year, but it never crossed my mind to try to take someone else's business cards or that no other real estate agent should be allowed to have business cards on the bulletin board. In fact, I had several conversations this afternoon with my neighbors and long distance owners who contacted me following receipt of that email and commented on the email as potentially defamatory to me. I hate to think that was the objective, but it does indicate a lack of professional judgment on the part of Melina to have sent it, especially without review by Palmer heads. Apparently, the board did not review it prior to sending, and I'm assuming neither did Legum and Norman. Melina repeatedly denied knowing that my business cards had been regularly taken, yet that was the crux of my conversation the other day with Kyle. It seems specious to assume that the email Melina sent was purely coincidental to Kyle's discussion with her about the theft of my cards. Kyle, did you mention me by name as having been victimized? As I told Kyle, I have not shared any information regarding the pervasive theft of my cards with anyone except my partner until this last week, when I felt the need to tackle the issue. By the way, when I told Melina that Kyle had suggested that I contact the board to view selected snippets of video coinciding with the theft of my cards, she said that she only reviews video for criminal acts. I did not correct her by telling her that the board can determine when videos are reviewed and for what reasons. Melina seems to forget that she works for the board, not vice versa. Of course, one of my first questions for Melina was why she didn't simply contact me to discuss the issue and alert me to the fact that she had been taking my cards since August. I'm right here. Everyone knows where to find me. Melina's justification for removing my business cards without telling me was allegedly that another agent said their cards were missing. The proffered solution of taking the business cards for all agents again demonstrates extremely poor professional judgment. For Melina to take my cards without common courtesy of notifying me when I live here in the building also shows poor judgment and conduct, and the excuse that she meant to send an email sooner seems insincere when she had the time to repeatedly take my business cards off the bulletin board. As I told Melina, there's a term for taking another person's property without notice, justification, or permission. That's called theft. Tom, Kyle, and Christian, my sense is that a meeting with Melina won't rectify the lack of good professional judgment that seems to be a constant problem and fundamental requirement for her job. We've seen it repeatedly with other serious issues, such as the rodent infestation and her withholding of critical information from the board, exacerbating the situation and causing additional suffering for Hallmark residents, and with more minor issues, like the designing and launching of a website featuring Hallmark's apparently Surfside location, with seashore views featuring broken links and outdated information. It's embarrassing. Instead, I would like for the board to issue a separate blast email saying that neither the board nor Legum and Norman had any reason to believe the missing business cards were taken by a real estate agent. So my profession isn't being disparaged as a result of Molina's email earlier today. I would also appreciate it if Hallmark and/or Wegman Norman would direct Molina to not remove any business cards from the bulletin board in the future unless it's a solicitation for some illegal product or service, or the business is the subject of multiple fraud complaints within the Hallmark community, or the board directs her to do so. Happy to discuss further with you.
All right.
I never heard anything formal in terms of any kind of reply, and so I thought it was important to get this out there, because I felt like my reputation was being impugned and that my profession was being disparaged. So I also want to give a really quick update on the rodent infestation, which has been going on since March. Carol in Unit 310 has been the primary victim of it, and I'll pass this around as well. This is from September 13th. This big guy was one that Carol found in her unit on a glue trap, and pass these around. Suspected that the epicenter, which of course we have known since March, was 311, was not still being treated by Orkin. Molina said she would be writing a letter. She was directed to do so at the last board meeting. I don't know if she did or not, but I will say that at the last board meeting, I said, I can take care of this issue with one call, and I did. And Tom can verify that, because the owner then subsequently sent Tom an email. And by the way, when I talked to him, his first comment was, why didn't management deal with this and get an exterminator in? And that's for the epicenter, the new owner of 311. So when we walked over to 311, this is what we found on the floor of the kitchen. This is a decaying dead mouse. So pass these around too, if you want to see
I
them.
saw it in person.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, some things to unpack there. I mean, I'm not, I'll just address the thing I think I can address, which is the issue of the business cards and the communication that follows it. That it just happened to take place at the cycle of the board meetings, where this is literally the first occasion where we would have the occasion to talk privately about it. I will say, as I have communicated, I have not communicated anything differently in private than I will in public, which is that I do not support the action that was taken, nor do I support the communication that was followed up. But I can't, not having discussed with my board colleagues, I can't issue any sort of statement on behalf of the board without their consent, and we just haven't had time to discuss it at great enough length to have any kind of coordinated statement. But I'm not saying anything to you that isn't a surprise to Molina, because I have expressed this as well to her and to Christian and others. So I personally don't stand by that communication, nor do I stand by the action. But that is my individual, I stress that it's my individual response. I'm not saying that any of my colleagues would either agree or disagree with me. It's just that we haven't had the discussion.
No, only because my name's in the email, and I didn't respond to your email, but also I didn't think there was a response. You said happy to discuss further. I thought that was the discussion. Again, I take your same position. I don't think the emails that blasted out was beneficial to everybody. But after I got done talking to you, I went directly, you saw me, I went directly to Melina's office. We talked about the work-in, we talked about business cards, and I brought your name up because I was like, Barbara's concerned that people keep taking her cards. Because you're the person that told me you're concerned people keep taking your cards. So, and she readily told me what's been going on. I was like, oh, well, we probably need to get that resolved. But regarding the email, I didn't think there was a need to respond, other than you said happy to discuss further. I didn't know there was actual discussion needed, to be honest. So that's my position.
Thank you.
And we have been inside our 311, by the way.
Yeah, at this point we have. There has been a visit.
Very glad to hear that as well. And I also think that based on the last board meeting, with the way that Molina treated Carol, she's been dismissive and disrespectful. and she exhibited that same behavior at the last board meeting. I don't know that it's in your lexicon, Melina, but I guess I would say maybe you'd like to prove me wrong and that you can apologize and that you will apologize to Carol.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, and I will not be apologizing.
And that's exactly where
Michaela, is it? in the back?
Patricia.
Patricia, sorry, I was confused with somebody else. Patricia.
Stand is where you sit. I believe that in the last meeting, Melina was attacked. That's just the way I looked at it. I thought on both sides, it got very heated. I do not, feel like within the meeting that I personally felt like there was some attacking, not necessarily, I think Carol and you were very forceful in your speaking with Melina at the meeting in front of everybody. That's just how I took it. I mean, if we took a poll, everybody who was at the last meeting might side with you, some might side with Melina and say that it just wasn't the venue to all that I won't even say back and forth. I would just say, to me, it looked like it was an attack. Now, I've been part of that mouse problem, so I do know it took a long time for it to be done. But I personally feel like the way that she was spoken to was not beneficial to the process.
Thank you. There's some other voices here, Bob.
I think,
Hmm?
I have a question
Yes.
about the service that's gonna take our checks or debit cards. They're charging 3.5% to use that service. Well, for my assessment, it's gonna cost me over $300 just to send them $10,000.
If you use a credit card.
If you use
right.
credit card. If you use bank debit,
If you
it's
use
$2.99.
If you use a check, it's $2.95.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So anyway, I'll tell you later, Ginger. Will the Legaman Normal, first, like, who gets the 3.5%? Legaman Norman or the company that has the website?
The payment processor does.
Pardon?
The
Payment,
payment
the
process,
payment processor.
the person, the company who's actually processing the card
Okay.
payments.
The other thing, Will Legaman Norman, I'm gonna wanna say, I would like to send checks to Legaman Norman by United States Postal Service overnight express mail. Will that be accepted and will they get it in time? He was mentioning something about lock boxes, which I don't have any understanding of. If I want to send checks that way, will it be accepted or rejected?
Yeah, you can send it, then that'll be in the updated letter that will be going out tomorrow, that you can send the social assessment check directly to me at the Falls Church office.
Will I use the what? Oh,
You can
is it
send
coming
it,
out with your name on it?
yeah, it'll be coming out in the mail, my name will be on the letter, you can send it FedEx, you can send UPS, USPS, however you wanna send it.
Okay, because there's a woman's name on the original letter, it says, I think it's a woman. The address.
The check should be made out to Hallmark condominium, not to me.
Yeah, that was good. Just because we're mailing it to Christian, don't make the check payable to Christian.
Hallmark, your check is payable to Hallmark condominium, it's just, you're paying attention.
On one of the bulletins we got, it said, send it to, so this, looked like, I thought it was a woman's name, and then Hall, whatever, Legaman Norman, I don't know, Falls Church or something.
I may have typoed my name and I'll put Christina instead of Christina.
Send down something for the correct address.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is the guy. All right. Anybody online? I want to just, oh, sorry, I didn't see someone hiding back there that I didn't see. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I just didn't know that.
Question was kind of answer is, I needed to know if, like, would we be notified at, like, when does our units need to be ready? And it seems that you said there's gonna be a schedule where you'll give specific units information. And we'll know by then, that's when we need to have our units prepped and ready for individuals to come in.
What tier are you in?
I am in 106, so that's tier 10.
Tier
next
10, okay.
tier 9.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're really soon.
Yeah,
So
I'm
you
gonna
should
be
be
really
looking at
soon, and I have, a housekeeper who comes in every 2 weeks, and she'll be coming 2 weeks from today. And so I kind of know, like, do I need to reschedule my cleaning and,
So,
you know,
so kind of doing the 2 week, 1 week window, right?
yeah.
So starting on, and we did have this to the comment about things starting early. The windows are showing up on the property on October the 8th. The containers will show up next week. So that's like the big things you see on the back of trucks that, and the back of trains and things like that. Those will show up. There's like 4 or 5 40-footers and 1 20-footer, I don't know. But anyways, the big old boxes are gonna be coming next week, but the windows will be coming on October 8th, is what we were told today. They will start on Tuesday, the 14th of October, with the 16th floor, of, tiers 9 and 10. So somewhere, you know, I'm not gonna have this precise, but around the 14th. You're the 6th floor, you said, right?
No, 106.
Oh, one.
The-
You're about 8 days later.
Yeah,
And just, okay, so Tuesday, the 14th, plus about 8 days. So what we said was 2 weeks out, so around the 1st of October, sometime next week, late next week, we should be getting out a 2 week look ahead window. And we're gonna say, you are the week of, which would be probably the week that starts the 20th or something of October. You're this week. So you'll get the week of 2 weeks out, and then you'll get the day of 1 week out. So a Friday prior to you, it'll be your unit number is on Thursday or whatever. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So that the intent is to give you the gist now, like I'm roughly October 14th to November 4th. 2 weeks out, we say you're the week of this, and then 1 week out, you're the day of this. And the reason we want to do that is we don't want to commit to a specific day too far out. If it rains, if there's wind, if there's something, to Hank's point, what we don't even know, what we don't know happens.
Yeah.
Things are gonna shift. Most likely, most shifts are going to be, and I say in schedule language, to the right. They're gonna get into the future. They're not gonna be, come in. So somewhere between the 14th and the 4th for you?
Okay, I just, cause, I'm disabled, so it's gonna take me time to
You're-
do all the prep work and stuff.
Closer to the 4th because you're on the first floor.
Yeah, so, and we're gonna get more updated guidance. on,
Absolutely. This is a
what
really
we
good start.
do,
This is a
because-
really good start. Use
I
this
like-
as a general guideline.
Yeah, cause I was like, well, okay, my blinds aren't actually attached to the windows, the ones for the door, can they stay, or do I need to get disconnect them?
Oh, they all have to leave.
We have different guidance.
Oh, well, never mind them. You guys get different guidance.
This is the one for the door, and they're off, on the ceiling off to the side, and I'm like.
Correct?
Ginger has specific updated guidance on this
Correct me
from
if
this
I make a
morning.
mistake here. I'm gonna point, hopefully you guys on the camera can see. This one is screwed into the frame by the window. It's got to be removed. This is how mine is in my unit, okay? If you've got something that's connected here and the same space on the other side or above, then that particular bracket doesn't have to go. They just want, but please take your blinds away, because here's what we discussed with them. If they damage it, if the wind catches it, they don't want to be liable. They told you, please take your stuff down. But if you're like, it's too much, then you make that call, but they're not gonna take the liability. But I had somebody who's like, in this sample, because this was flush, right?
Yeah.
Theirs was hanging off of this. It was like hanging 6 inches above the top of the window. We showed a picture similar to that, and they were like, there's no need for that to go away. But we'd like the blinds out of the way so that we don't inadvertently damage them. So to my point about meeting you in the middle and thinking about the user experience, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to say, if I live in that unit, what would I wanna know? These all say all, they're all very imperatives. Yes, no's, black, whites. I'm trying to help ask the questions in these meetings of the grays. And the gray is what I'm trying to explain, and I'm hoping this is making sense to folks. If you've got specific concerns, send them to the question and answer box so that, and with your unit number, because when they do those survey pictures, like today, a question came up and the guy was great. He flipped, he was like, oh, unit whatever. He pulled up the picture. He goes, yeah, that's got to, that one's in the way. He pulled up some other unit number and he goes, nope, that one's good to go. So if we get a question in the question box with a unit number, we can quickly address it because they can pull up the pictures from the survey and give you very specific, unit-specific guidance. Does that help, ma'am?
Yeah, and will we get feedback about what they said, what we need to move around a little bit, like individual units?
I mean,
I'm
the
on-
general guidance is get it 4 to 5 feet off the door. Now, I know look, I'm trying to be as precise as I can, thinking through what's the most precise thing all of us are gonna ask, right? I'm trying to think of what 220 people are gonna ask. Up until today, or until this came out, the rule was 4 feet. And when this came out, it was 5 feet. And I'm like, oh, people are gonna be like, is it 4 feet or is it 5 feet? They said roughly 4 to 5 feet. Give them some space to move. They're bringing everything in through your patio door. They need room to back their butts up. They need room to move
Turn.
in this
Yeah, 'cause
area.
that's some
So-
large
Just a
places
turn.
I
So,
need to know if I need to do that.
consider. Use your best judgment. If your stuff gets damaged, use your best judgment. Somebody is going to be standing here, moving this thing around, pulling it in, adjusting it. Give them room to move. They're gonna be doing brickwork on the outside. They may be hammering and pounding to get the asbestos thing out of the way. Your stuff on your wall is gonna rattle. If you have a really nice picture, please take it down for your sake. You got something hanging, please take it down for your sake. You've got a really nice plant that you don't want exposed to the wind in January when they're hitting my unit. I'm gonna move all my stuff to the bathroom or to the center of the unit. I want stuff that you don't wanna get it, that window, even if it's out for an hour, you're gonna have wind in your unit. Don't, like they say, take stuff off your sill. Of course you should take stuff off your sill, you know.
Yeah.
But they're saying this is like someone saying, don't put your coffee, your coffee, if you spill it, it might burn you. They're saying stuff because it happened to somebody. That we got these guidance from people who do window replacements all the time. Yes, there are imperatives. You shall all blah, blah, blah. There's also some degree of reasonableness, but take into consideration they did this because it happened to somebody else and something got damaged. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
I can't give you a precise answer, but if you have a precise question, they are happy to look at your picture and advise you.
Yeah, I just wanna know if I need to move those large planters more, so,
But,
I'll work on it.
Alright.
yeah,
That window is an example.
Yeah.
It looks like the blinds are
Yeah.
mounted inside the frame. So obviously the individual blind pieces come out. Does the track on the
Yes.
inside?
yeah, anything inside this frame has gotta come out. So if you're mounted, like in this case, it's mounted to the wall, but it's basically in this box,
Okay.
that needs to go. Where you're more in a less that you have to do something is if it's mounted over here or if it's mounted above. What they're looking for is full access to pop that window in and pop that window out, do the caulking. And any trimming or like putting a shim in there or something. If you all don't know it or not, drywall prep, if you haven't experienced or nothing's even and nothing's level in this building, 'cause it's 50 odd years old. And so they're gonna custom, they're gonna have to shim and do different things to get everything square and even and level. So we need to give them room to work in there, and that's why these things have to, especially anything within this box, if I can say it that way, must be removed. I hope that helps.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
When they come in for like 2 minutes.
No,
look
it
inside.
doesn't have to be moved.
Okay.
We did clarify that, but they want it out of the way, they want this, like, example, out of the way the day before they're gonna do your window or whatever, or the day, no later than the day of, like, you know, ultimately it's the day of, that has to be out of the way. So.
This is just a quick question. I'd like to bring my check in person to Falls Church for the assessment. Is that all right?
Yeah, if you just, shoot me an email, just to make sure I'm not in the corporate office every day. So if you bring it in and I'm not there, the front desk can take it and put it in my mailbox. So that I can get it, but if you want me to physically be there, you just need to let me know what day and I'll let you know if I'm gonna be there.
Christian's like, if you're bringing it in person, then it's cash. Before I go back to Barbara, I just want to double check if there's anybody online that I haven't recognized yet.
I need to myself, but I don't.
Valerie, is there?
Valerie?
I talk. Is that never Valerie? This is. Okay, Barbara.
Christian, I have a question for you
Yes.
regarding assessments. Getting ready to go to closing on a unit here in Hallmark, and the assessment is not reflected in community archives.
That should have, okay, I'll reach out to our resale team, that should have happened, because we gave them the resale documents, like last month or before then, I think. So I'll get with our resale department and see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's being reflected in the condo docs or not, because I haven't ordered condo docs for my listing yet. But when it's getting ready to close on the selling agent, and it's not reflected.
100%.
And it was just requested today, or maybe yesterday, by
Yeah.
the settlement company.
And I think
So that's a problem.
legal butt off on the, doc to go into the condo docs for the special assessment in the
Yeah.
last.
Yes,
It's in there.
yes, I'm gonna double check with the resale team why it's not showing up on community archives.
Before, Alex is gonna have to be the last, but before Alex, I do think that I'm gonna ask for unanimous consent to insert agenda item 12.5, which is gonna be a second executive session, and without objection, it is so ordered. Alex.
There was another email that put the entire homework community on blast, on Monday. I noticed that it came from a different email address. I think it was hallmarkcondos.org rather than the hallmark@verizon.net. So I was wondering if there's any direction from the board about when, a specific email is used and when different email addresses are used. I noticed that there was no way to actually reply to the email from Monday. And my recollection is that under Virginia law, the board actually has to provide a way for them to communicate among themselves. And so my question for the board is, what is the system that's provided for residents to do that? Is it tied to the Hallmark at hallmarkcondos.org, or is it through a different electronic system?
All right, two very good questions, one of which I actually discussed this afternoon with our legal counsel. As to the emails, as far as which email shows up, the only people that can email the entire community are the general manager and myself. So that comes from an email, it comes from an online kind of email publishing doc. So I have to take for research, because I can essentially type in whatever I want as the reply address. I could say Mickey Mouse at Hallmark and it would still come out as such. So that I just will have to inquire within, but it does come from a web-based email publishing system. As to the second issue, that is under consideration right now, because our attorney is, without getting into anything privileged, we talked about, the attorney is still researching whether or not the said bulletin board that was aforementioned is in fact the publicly available information sharing thing, because we don't have, although we have a website, we don't have like a bulletin board feature on that website. I know that some folks use a Facebook group, but that's not officially affiliated with Hallmark. So under research is essentially whether or not that bulletin board by the elevator is in fact are publicly free and information sharing, which is protected by Virginia law.
Yeah, I'll say, if you know the statute, feel free to share it so we can speed up the research.
Yeah, it's actually Virginia Code 55.1-1950.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Okay. But again, I did have a separate conversation with legal this afternoon and she just wanted some information about other online, because if we did have an online bulletin board, a case could be made that is the free information sharing. But just for everyone's information, the board is required to maintain a free venue for residents to share information, whether they be things for rent or for.
Sure, is this a new law?
No, it's
So
not.
have we never had it?
Hmm?
Now
It's actually part of the condominium act.
It is, I've been apprised of it this afternoon. So
Okay.
it's part of the condominium act that everybody has, every association has to have this free available community.
I only bring it up
bulletin.
to say, can we say now that the board is first being told and aware that this exists?
Yes, that
Because
is correct.
previous boards apparently were unaware, just like this board was unaware until Alex just said it.
And I was probably aware 2+ hours in advance because it was literally at this afternoon conversation. So for follow-up, but some conversations are already underway for that. All right. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and gavel out owners open forum. Would anyone like to make a motion to recess to executive session for the discussion of protected matters, legal delinquencies and or other protected items? So moved by Ginger. All those in favor? Aye, none opposed, and we shall return to executive session. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll give you a couple minutes to motion to come out, unanimous consent to come out of executive session without objections so ordered. All right, we're back in open forum. There being no further business before the board, I am going to declare the meeting closed at 8:36 PM.
Okay, thanks.
All right, time to get some food.
That's one of the earliest meetings.
I know, it really is. I was scared to be like 9 o'clock.
I had to shoot Barbara when she wanted to keep trying, but this thing.